Hi, I'm Imogen. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to show you exactly how to fully set up a webinar in Zoom with some really simple step-by-step instructions. Let's jump straight in.
Firstly, if you don't already have a Zoom account, open a browser, go to zoom.com and go up to the blue button in the top right-hand corner and click Try it for free. To run events in Zoom, you need a paid-for account. The most basic paid-for account you can have is called a Pro account, a Workplace Pro account, which you can see listed here. If you choose to pay on a monthly basis, you get 7 days free, and if you choose to pay on an annual basis, you get 14 days free. Select the option that you want and click Continue. You then want to enter all your details, your payment information, and then come over to the right-hand side and click Continue. This brings you to this home page here. You want to click on Webinars and then Buy Now. The Zoom Webinar Facility is an add-on to the Pro account. Select the number of attendees you'd like your subscription to accommodate each month, whether you need that subscription for 1 month, on a monthly basis or on an annual basis, and then come over here to the right-hand side and place your order. Then, to get started with scheduling your first webinar in Zoom, you want to scroll down the left-hand side and click Webinars, and then come over to this blue button on the right and click Schedule a Webinar. The next step is to enter the title of your webinar. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm just putting Test Webinar. You then want to select the date and time, the length of your webinar and the duration, followed by the time zone that your webinar will be hosted in. You have the option to tick this box to select whether it's a recurring webinar. So this may be a webinar that you want to schedule every week or every month for a certain period of time. Next, you have the option to select whether your webinar will need registration. Scheduling a webinar with registration requires your registrants to complete a very brief form before receiving the link to join the webinar. This allows you to collect information about each registrant, such as their name and email address. Next, you can select whether you want to enable Zoom's authentication settings. Without these enabled, it means that anyone who has the Zoom link can access your webinar. By enabling these settings, it means that attendees need to sign into Zoom at the point of joining the event with the same email address they used to register. So you can select whether you want to ask your panelists, your speakers, to authenticate, and there's the option to select whether you want your attendees to authenticate too. Next, you have the option to enable the passcode facility for your webinar. This means that attendees will need to enter a passcode as they join your session, which is an additional security option. Unless your webinar is discussing very highly confidential information, I wouldn't recommend enabling the passcode facility as well as authentication. Just having the authentication is plenty to keep your event safe. Next, you can select whether you require your hosts and panelists to have their video on as they join the session, and then whether you want to make telephone and computer audio options available to your attendees. Then, scrolling down to this options section, you have the option to enable your webinar to have a practice session. You can also select for your webinar to have HD video quality during the webinar and whilst you're screen sharing. There's the option to automatically record your session either on the local computer or in the cloud. The option to include email addresses in the attendance report, and you can block users from certain regions of the world. These are the main settings to consider on this page, so you don't want to scroll down and click Schedule. That's your webinar all set up, so it will now bring you back to this page and you want to click on your session. As you scroll down the page and come down to where it says registration link, you'll see the copy icon on the right of it, and if you click this copies your registration link, which you can then share with your attendees so they're able to register for the event. You can review all the settings that you've enabled are as you want them. This is a really important step in ensuring your webinar runs smoothly. Once you've done that, and when you scroll back up to the top of the page, you'll notice you now have some new tabs. We're going to explore these next, firstly by clicking on Invitations. You have the option to invite your panellists, speakers, by clicking Edit on the right-hand side, entering the name of your first speaker and their email address. You can then come down to the bottom and click Add Another Panellist to add additional speakers, and then you want to make sure you come down to the bottom again and click Save. Moving down this page, you can invite attendees by sending them the registration link, or you can copy the full invitation here and send it to them via email. Next, you have the source tracking facility, so you can send attendees the registration link, or if you would like some more data on how attendees are hearing about your event, you can set up different source tracking links. For example, you might click to add a source tracking link and create one for Facebook. You could then create another, for example, for LinkedIn. You could then create another for another marketing channel, such as email marketing. Once you've created all the links you want, you can see them listed here with the copy icon next to each one for you to take and use on the various channels. As you scroll down, you can see the registration settings section, which you can edit here on the right-hand side. And you can click Edit here on the right-hand side to see the names of the people that are attending your webinar. Moving along the tabs at the top, we're now going to move along to Email Settings, where you can edit the invitation that goes to panellists, deciding whether you want to send them an invitation email and include the calendar attachment. You can edit the confirmation email that goes to attendees and include your own personal message in this space here, and whether you would like to send them a follow-up email or not. The next tab along is where you input your waiting room settings. When your attendees join their event, they will see this default Zoom image of the flowers here, but you have the option within this host message box to enter your own message, such as "We will be starting soon." You also have the facility to upload your own image or video to welcome your guests. This could be an image that uses your branding to give your event a cohesive feel. Next, we'll move along to the Branding tab, where you have the option to customise different elements of your webinar. Firstly, there is your webinar wallpaper, which is the background around the screen where you'll be presenting. If you click this pencil icon here, you can upload your own webinar wallpaper. In this instance, I've chosen a wallpaper which is in keeping with the branding of the event. You then have the option to upload a virtual background for your hosts and panellists. Again, I've designed one which is in keeping with the branding of the event. When you, as the hosts and your panellists, join your webinar, you will each have a name tag on the screen so your attendees can easily identify who you are. In this name tag design section, you have the option to format how your name tag appears on the screen. Again, moving down this page, you have the option to customize the banner on your event's invitation page. The image size for this, as detailed here, is 640 by 200 pixels, so you can design a banner which is in keeping with the branding of your event and add this here. In this next section, you can upload your business's logo. The suggested dimensions of the image are 200 by 200 pixels, and then your business logo will also appear on your webinar invitation page. In this theme section, you have the option to customize the button color on your webinar registration page. Click to change theme, then click custom, and enter the hex code for the color that you would like on the button color section on the right hand side, and then click save. It is a nice idea to move away from Zoom's standard blue colour and choose one of your own branded colours. Moving back up to the top of this webinar setup page, you then move along to the next tab, which is polls and quizzes. You can set up a poll or quiz in advance of your webinar by clicking this blue Create button on the left-hand side. The first step is to give your poll a title. This needs to be something that's easily recognisable for you in case you should create a long list of polls and need to find it quickly. The next thing is to enter the question you want to ask your audience, and then to think about how you want them to answer. Do you want them to write in a short answer, put some options in rank order? Is it a multiple choice question? You then want to enter the possible answers to your question. So I'm just going to enter these now. It's important that any polls you create are clear, concise, and easy to answer and are not going to confuse your attendees in any way. You then have the option to set whether your poll is required, as in every member of the audience has to answer it, or whether you want the answers to be shown in a drop-down format. Make your choices and then click Save. The final section of the Zoom webinar setup that we're going to look at today is the Q&A section. This allows hosts to manage questions from attendees in an organised way. You can select whether you want attendees to be able to submit questions and allow questions to be anonymous if they prefer. You can select whether you want attendees to be able to see all questions that are submitted or just answered ones. Or you can give attendees the option to upvote on questions and comment on other attendees' questions too. Once again, you want to click Save, and that's it. The main elements of your webinar are now all set up in Zoom. Please do hit subscribe for more useful videos on online events and the Zoom technology. If you're stuck on anything or have any questions, please feel free to drop a comment below, or you can get in touch with me via the website at applauseevents.com.